3 years into my marriage, Derek faked his death in a staged fire to honeymoon with Tiffany, his divorced childhood sweetheart. I shed no tears, felt no sorrow. After quietly arranging his funeral, I finalized his legal declaration of death. Derek didn't know about a long-standing family tradition in my family. A long-standing family tradition stipulates that a widow is to remarry her late husband's unmarried elder male relative within the family. As it happened, Derek's uncle, William, was single and unwed. Just as I was wondering how to bring up the subject of our remarriage to William, he, having just attended Derek's funeral, sent me a message on WhatsApp, "My condolences. Prepare yourself. The wedding will be early next month." On our third wedding anniversary, I took the day off work and prepared a lavish candlelight dinner at home. I waited all night, but Derek never came back. The next day, I found a short video clip on social media posted by someone I might know. She was holding Derek's hand, leaning into his embrace, watching the starry sky on a mountain peak all night. Derek wasn't visible, but the watch I gave him for our last anniversary and the mole on his collarbone betrayed him. Her name was Tiffany, Derek's recently divorced childhood sweetheart who had just returned to the country. Watching the intimate pair in the short video clip, I felt a tightness in my chest. It was the first time I realized how uncomfortable the feeling of being cheated on was. Just then, my phone rang. Following the sound, I found Derek's burner phone forgotten beneath a sofa cushion. Tiffany had sent Derek a photo of herself in black lace lingerie. The caption read, "Honey, like it?" Scrolling up, I discovered Derek called her wife. It turned out they had started seeing each other a month ago, and I hadn't noticed a single thing out of place. "Honey, when are you going to implement our cruise ship fake death plan? I'm dying to go on that overseas honeymoon with you." My gaze landed on the words fake death, and I involuntarily gasped. Derek was willing to deceive me into believing he was dead, all for an overseas honeymoon with Tiffany. I sat alone on the sofa until midnight when Derek finally returned. As usual, he hung his suit jacket on the coat rack. This time, however, I caught a whiff of an unfamiliar woman's perfume in the air, a scent that made my stomach clench with immediate nausea. "Grace, are you free Thursday evening? My friend is having a birthday party on a private yacht, and he wants me to bring you along." Without any preamble, Derek went straight to the point. It seemed his intention was for me to witness his fake death in the fire firsthand. For some reason, the thought of him actually dying in the fire stirred no sadness in me. "Can I skip it? Thursday is also my birthday." The entire house fell silent for several seconds. Derek seemed to just realize my birthday was that day too. He hugged me from behind the sofa, leaning down to kiss the back of my neck. Then he placed an exquisite gift box in front of me. "I know, so I prepared a gift for you in advance. Go ahead and open it." I cast a faint glance. In one corner of the gift box, there was a lipstick stain, easily overlooked. That's how people are. Once you find a clue, all your actions become sharp and precise. Closing my eyes, the last bit of hope in my heart vanished. Derek, behind me, didn't notice my abnormality and continued to explain, "That friend is a business partner of mine. The party is just a cover. My real goal is to secure the project for his land in Southwood." Derek's explanation was logical, and he had even thoughtfully prepared a gift in advance. It was as if any further questioning from me would be out of line. I pretended to know nothing, simply giving a faint All my rationality quickly returned. Fine, if I couldn't keep the man, I'd find a way to keep the money. Taking the gift, I turned my head and smiled at him. "I won't go. I've made plans to have evening tea with a friend. Besides, with you talking business, my presence would only be a hindrance." Derek nodded contentedly. Such a good wife saying this. He walked to the dining table, dipped his fingertip into some of the candlelight dinner cake I had personally made, and put it in his mouth. After tasting it thoughtfully, he nodded and gave me a thumbs up. My wife's cooking is getting better and better. My expression remained calm. I didn't question whether Derek remembered it was our third wedding anniversary yesterday, nor did I tell him that I wasn't going to the cruise ship party because I was afraid the fire might harm innocent people. The family was incredibly wealthy and powerful, and if I were to die a wrongful death in the blaze before enjoying the benefits of being a wealthy widow, that would be far too thoughtless of me. Before marrying Derek, I was the top student in my department, receiving scholarships every year. If I hadn't saved Eleanor, who was having a heart attack by the roadside during my senior year internship, Derek and I would have been worlds apart, never to have crossed paths in this life. Because I was always compliant and obedient, Derek had no defenses against me. After he fell asleep, I used his burner phone to log into WhatsApp on my laptop by scanning the QR code. I also installed a program on Derek's phone. His chat history with Tiffany would then cloud sync to my personal laptop. He wouldn't detect a thing amiss. Honey, what do you think of this island? I'll buy it for you as a gift. How about we live sweetly on this island for a month first? My dear husband, you're so good. I'll definitely buy some equipment to reward you properly. Following this message was a shyly suggestive emoji. Seeing this, I vaguely recalled that in 3 years of marriage, Derek had never once taken me on a trip. The laptop chimed, interrupting my thoughts. These clothes only look charming on you, not like Grace. She's so bland and uninteresting. Seeing her, I can't even get it up. Oh, you're so naughty if is like that. Why did you marry her? My mom liked her. Obviously. Besides, what kind of feelings can an arranged marriage have? What could I do? All I could do was try to find more time to be with you. Closing the laptop, my heart no longer stirred a ripple. Derek didn't know that my blandness stemmed from Eleanor's pressure, which made it impossible for me to develop strong feelings for him. It wasn't my nature. Compared to Derek the person, I actually preferred the Sun family's money. Derek also didn't know that besides being bland and uninteresting, I was also vengeful. That night, I set all the air conditioning in the mansion to the lowest temperature. Then I carried the heaviest blankets to the home office, wrapped myself in them, and slept through the night. The rest, I gathered and incinerated in the garbage. The next morning, I woke up early and prepared a bowl of soup dumplings for Derek. He emerged from the bedroom sneezing, snot running uncontrollably, suppressing the upward curve of my lips. I also feigned a sneeze and said in a muffled voice, "It got colder." Derek, sleepy-eyed, rubbed his reddened nose. "It's nothing. A little cold medicine will fix it." Thoughtful as I was, I immediately grabbed the cold medicine. From the corner of my eye, I glanced at Derek by the dining table. He was eating his soup dumplings, grinning foolishly at messages on his phone. Averting my gaze, I lowered my head and snipped open a packet of cold medicine, pouring it into a glass. Then I snipped open another packet, a laxative, and poured it in too. A rush of boiling water, and it was impossible to tell the difference. I handed the prepared medicine to Derek. "Drink it while it's hot. You'll sweat it out and feel better." Holding the bowl and silverware, I watched over the rim of the ceramic bowl as Derek drank it all in one gulp. My heart pounded like a drum. Fortunately, he didn't notice a thing. To strengthen the effect, I had also put half a packet of laxative in his soup dumplings. After that day, he suffered from diarrhea for 3 days. A private doctor visited the house. He prescribed anti-diarrhea medication, and I'd immediately increase the dosage. I only stopped administering the medicine the day before the cruise ship party. In 3 days, Derek lost 8 pounds. When at the family estate heard about it, she was so worried. She immediately called me, urging me to bring Derek back to regain strength. Hanging up the phone, seeing Derek weakly nodding, I knew this plan was solid. At the dinner, Eleanor kept serving Derek chicken soup. Derek, in turn, picked up the meat from his chicken soup and placed it in my bowl. In front of outsiders, he always fulfilled his role as husband conscientiously. It was as if he wanted to announce to the world how much he loved me. "I really can't eat anymore. You're here to regain strength." Suppressing my disgust, I returned the chicken that had been touched by his silverware, not forgetting to tease him with a smile. "I'm perfectly healthy. No need for heavy tonics. Besides, it's not like I won't get to eat your cooking after tonight." With a clang, the silverware fell from his hand. Derek nervously picked up his silverware, giving an awkward laugh. He stared into my eyes, repeatedly confirming that I didn't know about his fake death plan, before lowering his head to eat the chicken in his bowl. Yet, his darting eyes betrayed his persistent feeling that something wasn't quite right. To dispel his suspicions, I proactively reminded Derek about the cruise ship party. His eyes lit up, and he slapped his forehead as if just remembering. "Oh, my memory! We only have half an hour until the agreed time." He quickly finished the last bowl of chicken soup, grabbed his suit jacket, and rushed out. Eleanor, however, was so furious her heart condition flared up. Clutching her chest, she called out to him, "You get back here. It's Grace's birthday today. You're not going anywhere." Eleanor was gasping for air, clearly not faking it, but continued forward without looking back. "Stop faking it, Mom. I've seen enough of these staged sympathy ploys in novels. You might fool others, but you won't fool me." Hearing this, Eleanor was so angry she nearly passed out. Seeing her face turn an abnormal shade of white, I quickly took out her emergency heart medication and placed it in her mouth, while helping her to breathe. I subtly shook my head at Eleanor, feigning a wronged yet magnanimous expression. It's all right, Mom. Derek's business is important. Then, I shot Derek a glance and reminded him, you have gout, so make sure not to drink any alcohol. Go and come back early. Seeing me act so thoughtful, Derek's eyes almost overflowed with gratitude. I knew Derek was looking forward to this fire, but what he didn't know was that I was even more eager. The thought of this grand and splendid Sun family estate and its billions in assets being transferred to my name in a few days made me want to immediately kick Derek into the blaze, forcing down the intense impatience in my heart. I adopted a reluctant expression and saw Derek off at the entrance of the family estate. Perhaps he was too excited. He didn't even notice it had started raining. It wasn't until someone, holding a string of prayer beads, held a black umbrella over my head that I smelled a faint scent of sandalwood in the air. It's raining. William's slightly magnetic voice entered my ears. I instinctively broke out in a cold sweat. Uncle, I stammered, greeting him. I felt so guilty I only dared to stare at the buttons of his impeccably tailored dark suit. Regarding, the most common remarks I heard were that he was deeply cunning and ruthless. Fearing he might see through my disguise, I decided to take the best course of action, retreat. I slipped out from under his black umbrella and quickly disappeared. I couldn't tell if it was my imagination, but I thought I heard William chuckle as he watched my retreating figure, grappling with the thought, did see through my disguise? I returned to the main hall of the family estate, my mind preoccupied. Eleanor, thinking I was upset that Derek wasn't with me for my birthday, took out an exquisite sapphire bracelet of top quality and placed it on my wrist. Grace, you've been through so much these 3 years since you married into the Sun family. Looking at the sapphire bracelet, worth millions, my eyes glittered as I kept my head down. I repeatedly reminded myself that no matter how excited I was, I couldn't show any trace of avarice. Mom, please don't say that. I'm already very content to be married into the Sun family. Eleanor was quite susceptible to this approach, with tears in her eyes. She gave me 30% of the Sun family's shares as a birthday gift. I knew then that agreeing to marry into the Sun family had been the smartest decision. Tucking the share transfer agreement into my bag, I glanced at the wall clock. Less than half an hour remained until the time Derek and Tiffany had agreed for his fake death. So, I held Eleanor's hand and insisted on engaging in conversation to pass the time. At exactly midnight, my phone rang. I intentionally answered and put it on speaker. Derek's assistant's panicked voice came through the phone. Madam, it's terrible. The cruise ship caught fire. And Mr. Sun, he's gone. My phone conveniently dropped to the floor. I pretended to faint before Eleanor did, but I used all my strength to suppress the corners of my lips from curving upward, with deafening cries filling my ears. My mind was already envisioning my plans after taking over the Sun family assets, where I'd go for fun the first year, and where I'd go flirting with male models the second. As I was contemplating the third year, I was suddenly lifted bridal carry. The familiar scent of sandalwood immediately told me it was William. My heart inexplicably raced, and my face flushed. I suddenly remembered that on the day I married Derek, my mother, when handing over my inheritance, had mentioned a rule passed down through my maternal family line: if a descendant became a widow in middle age, according to ancestral teachings, she would remarry an unmarried elder male relative of her late husband's family. I was well aware that the original intention of this rule was to punish the widow for not taking good care of her husband, which is why she would be remarried to an older, unmarried relative to continue to produce heirs for the husband's family. As luck would have it, the only single, unmarried elder male relative in the Sun family was William, who was currently holding me. Thinking about this, I felt my rapidly beating heart almost stop. That was William, known for his cunning, ruthlessness, and for being utterly merciless. How was I supposed to bring up the subject of remarrying? If he found out I had let his nephew, Derek, die, wouldn't he have me killed? The thought made me shiver. Just then, a deep, calm voice came from above my head. He's dead. And you're that upset? I was utterly bewildered, full of questions. Half an hour later, everyone from the Sun family arrived at the hospital morgue. It was time. The moment I opened my eyes, I threw myself dramatically onto Derek's urn, enacting a scene of earth-shattering grief. Seeing all the Sun family members crying bitterly, I knew the act was convincing, but I noticed William wasn't crying. It was as if Derek's death had no impact on him whatsoever. It was already early morning the next day when Derek's cremation procedures were completed. Back home, I indulged in a good lie-in. When I woke up, The cloud-synced chat history on my laptop showed that Derek had successfully met up with Tiffany overseas. Furthermore, to avoid being recognized, Tiffany had even persuaded Derek to undergo plastic surgery. Looking at the photos in the chat log, that unfamiliar face now bore only a faint resemblance to Derek. I was so excited I opened a bottle of red wine to celebrating that I was one step closer to becoming the heir of the vast fortune. Derek's funeral was scheduled for 3 days later. I wasted no time finalizing his legal declaration of death. The night his funeral concluded, my mother pulled me into the bedroom. She earnestly urged me about the remarriage and insisted that, according to ancestral teachings, I must clarify things with William before Derek's 7th day. Before his 7th day? Wouldn't that be a bit inappropriate? What's inappropriate about it? I already told the elders of the Sun family about this rule the day you got married, and they all like you very much, so they naturally agreed to your remarriage to Uncle. This meant William knew about my maternal family's rule. For some reason, I felt there was something off about this whole situation. Before I could think much more, I was stumped by how to approach William about the remarriage. Just then, my phone suddenly rang. Opening WhatsApp, it was a message from William. The message was concise and clear. My condolences. Prepare yourself. The wedding will be early next month. I stared at WhatsApp in disbelief, blushing for the first time in my 28 years. Just like that, I was haphazardly set to be married in half a month. I thought life would continue peacefully, but the night before the wedding, Derek's WhatsApp avatar, which had been dormant for so long, suddenly displayed a red one as if resurrecting from the dead. Wife, I'm not dead. I'm alive. Then, he sent over a dozen voice messages, telling me that he hadn't died in the cruise ship fire. To escape, he had jumped into the sea, accidentally hit a reef, and passed out. He then drifted abroad with the current and was rescued ashore, but he had lost his memory. It took him half a month to regain it. Wife, I heard you were heartbroken and almost committed suicide after hearing about my death. I'm so sorry. I swear I'll make it up to you for the rest of my life. I'm booking a flight back home tomorrow. Because it was a remarriage within the family, the Sun family hadn't widely announced William's wedding. Derek, being abroad, naturally didn't know that tomorrow was my wedding to his uncle. To compensate me for becoming a young widow, Eleanor gifted me all of the Sun family assets as my inheritance. She also said that after 3 years of marriage with Derek, she and his father had come to regard me as their own daughter. This remarriage was the opportune time to entrust all of the Sun family's assets to me. Looking at the wedding gown adorned with jewels on the coat rack, and the hundreds of billions in assets piled in the living room, I immediately blocked Derek. Oh well, in the face of money, I'd simply consider him a genuine resurrection. Once I convinced myself of this idea, I pretended to be trembling with fear, clutching my heavy blankets, and rushed to Eleanor's room. Nestling in her embrace, I shuddered and whispered, "Mom, I dreamt Derek came back for me." Eleanor, who had already accepted Derek's death, hugged me tenderly and comforted me. "You've been through so much, Grace. That good-for-nothing son of mine is still tormenting you even after death. Don't worry. If he really dares to come back and disturb your wedding to William, you won't even need to ask. I'll hire the most powerful spiritualist to exorcise him." Hearing this, my heart finally settled. I secretly vowed that after marrying William, I would honor Eleanor as my own mother. The filial devotion Derek had lacked, I would make up for doubly in her golden years. The next day, the wedding took place as scheduled. Considering that less than a month had passed since Derek's death, William did not hold a grand wedding banquet. The first words he said to me, as he took my hand from the limousine, were, "You've been through a lot, Grace. I'll make it up to you with a grand wedding every year from now on." It's all right, Uncle," I instinctively stammered in reply to William. I only felt a strange tingling sensation in the hand he held, a feeling I had never experienced before. For a moment, I almost thought I was ill. It wasn't until William, amidst the confetti cannons, bent down and lifted me bridal carry towards the wedding hall, leaning in to whisper in my ear, "Time to change what you call me, wife," that I felt a jolt of electricity go through me. I was trembling slightly, yet also inexplicably happy. Unlike my wedding to Derek, when William kissed me on the lips in front of all our family and friends, I felt my body involuntarily turn to jelly. It was only with William's support that I managed to stand steady. The applause from below the stage was enthusiastic and prolonged. Only I knew that I had truly fallen for William. As the host reminded us to exchange rings, the wedding hall doors suddenly burst open. Derek, post-plastic surgery, stormed in like a madman. The smoothly running wedding was interrupted by this incident. Everyone turned their heads, their curious gazes falling upon Derek. Derek stumbled towards the wedding stage but was intercepted by Eleanor halfway. "Who are you? Who invited you? Do you have an invitation?" Seeing his mother look at him with such unfamiliarity, Derek's eyes reddened with urgency. He clutched Eleanor's hand, his eyes filled with sincerity. "Mom, it's me, Derek." Saying this, Derek frantically smoothed his disheveled hair, trying to present his face to Eleanor, hoping she would recognize him as her son, but recoiled, withdrawing her hand in strong aversion, stepping back as if seeing a human trafficker. "Nonsense. My son died 20 days ago. Where did you crawl out from? Daring to crash my daughter's wedding? Do you think the Sun family is to be trifled with?" Eleanor was clearly beyond furious, clutching her chest and gasping for air. Seeing her elderly face begin to turn an abnormal white, I quickly took out the emergency heart medication and administered it to her. Derek watched all of this. Perhaps he recalled what he had said to Eleanor that night of the cruise ship party. "Stop faking it, Mom. I've seen enough of these staged sympathy ploys in novels. You might fool others, but you won't fool me." Derek was trembling all over. He remorsefully said, "Mom, you really do have a heart condition. From the day I met Eleanor, I knew she had a severe heart condition." It was laughable that Derek had been her son for so many years and still didn't understand his mother's health. I found it incredibly ironic. Just as I was about to step forward and say something, William gently patted my hand in a comforting gesture, shaking his head at me. For some reason, even though William's action was subtle, it provided me with an immense sense of security. This was something I had never felt with Derek. During my 3 years with Derek, whenever we encountered conflict outside, he would always abandon me to handle it alone, as if it were my duty as his wife. But wasn't like that. He seemed to genuinely protect me as his wife. "I'll handle it," William stated, his thin lips parting. I felt an immediate sense of calm, and my chest swelled with warmth. He wore an impeccably tailored dark suit, looking so noble and unapproachable, like a divine being descended to earth. Among the guests, he walked with a tall, straight posture towards Derek. With each step closer, Derek's astonishment grew. He looked incredulously at me, then at William, as if just realizing that the newly married couple was his own wife and his uncle. "How can you two, Uncle? How can you marry Grace? This is incest." Derek's head buzzed. He couldn't believe his eyes. Eleanor, having just recovered, quickly shielded me behind her and slapped Derek hard. "Shut your filthy mouth. The widow's remarriage is a long-standing family tradition from my daughter's maternal side. How dare you slander and disrespect it here?" Derek clutched his reddened face, looking heartbroken as tears streamed down his face towards his mother, who had always been so kind to him. In truth, I had told Derek about the remarriage tradition before, but his heart wasn't with me then, so he never took it seriously. "Not everyone can claim kinship with me, William." Saying this, William, cloaked in a chilling aura, advanced towards Derek, who stumbled backward in fear. He stammered nervously, trying to explain to William, "Uncle, it's me, Derek. What are you Before he could finish his sentence, William kicked Derek out of the wedding hall. He calmly adjusted his suit, glanced at his subordinates, and ordered coldly, "Close the doors." At his command, the men immediately rushed to shut the wedding hall doors. Derek struggled to his feet from the ground. He spat out a mouthful of blood, laughing wildly and resentfully. "The woman who wouldn't let you touch her for 3 years. Uncle, what kind of merchandise do you think you've brought home?" Hearing this, William's slightly surprised gaze met mine. Just as I was wondering if William knew something, my peripheral vision caught his 2 subordinates, who had gone outside and hadn't returned. Not long after, Derek's heart-wrenching screams came from outside the door, but they only lasted a few seconds. The wedding hall fell silent once more. William took my hand and returned to the wedding stage. He poured 2 glasses of red wine, raised a toast to the guests, and nodded apologetically. "My apologies for the scene." Then, he turned to the host. "Host, please continue." The host was still stunned, only snapping out of it after being nudged by his assistant. Not just the host. Even I and Eleanor, who had seen many grand occasions, were wide-eyed with shock. So this was how the renowned uncle operated, so decisive. Suppressing the excitement in my heart, I had to admit, after this incident, my fondness for William soared. I had expected Derek to be more restrained after the wedding disruption, but he unexpectedly found his way to our new home during William's business trip. Grace, are you really that cheap? Rushing to sleep with my uncle? His words made my blood boil. I hadn't even settled the score with Derek for crashing the wedding, and now he dared to come to my house to provoke me again. I took off my heels and, without a word, swung them at his face, deliberately aiming the heel at his eye. Anyway, Derek's legal declaration of death had been finalized. In essence, he was now an undocumented person, a nobody. Even if I called the police, they would unconditionally side with me. My strike was swift and fierce. Before I could react, one of his eyes was swollen shut. You imposter! How dare you pretend to be someone else to commit fraud? Today, I'm going to beat you to death. I never once admitted he was Derek. Derek was clearly furious, and his words grew even harsher. Grace, are you ing tired of living? How dare you lay a hand on me? You bitch. You seduced my uncle into marrying you and turned my mom against me, making her disown me. Don't think I don't know anything. You just coveted the Sun family's assets and wanted to swallow it all while I was away. Grace, I'm telling you now, as long as I'm alive, you won't get a single penny from the Sun family. My money will only go to Tiffany. My blind mother couldn't see through your act. You played that wretch for a fool. Not to mention she even slapped me. That kind of mother. Derek, don't want her. My heart felt as if an invisible hand was squeezing it, not because Derek was biased towards Tiffany, but because I felt pity for Eleanor, who had worked tirelessly for nearly 30 years, only to raise such an ungrateful bastard as Derek. Realizing had returned this time to reclaim the Sun family assets to please Tiffany, I became even more resolute in denying his identity. The real Derek died a long time ago. You're trespassing. If you don't leave, I'll call the police. Call the police? You still dare to call the police? Hearing me threaten to call the police, Derek panicked. His rationality vanished. He pulled out a dagger from somewhere and lunged at me like a madman. Terrified, I stumbled backwards, falling to the ground. The sharp dagger thrust straight at me. In the nick of time, a hand gripped the dagger, taking the blow for me. Still reeling from fright, I felt a rush of wind in front of me. After a flash of cold light, Derek's screams reached my ears. I tried to look in the direction of the sound, but William blocked my eyes with his hand. Don't look. It's dirty. The man's deep voice echoed above my head, instantly drawing my scattered wits forcefully back into my body. I sank into William's arms, my hands tightly wrapped around his waist. While marveling at how slender his waist was, I obediently refrained from looking. The surroundings became so quiet you could hear a pin drop. Apart from the splattering sound of blood hitting the ground, there was only the frantic drumming of my own heart. Let's go home. With that, William lifted me bridal carry from the ground with one arm, picked up my heels with the other, and turned to go home. Once home, he gently set me down and then stroked the top of my head. Promise me, no matter what sounds you hear later, don't come out. Usually rebellious, I met William's gaze and nodded obediently, as if under a spell. The door gently clicked shut as he left. Soon after, from just beyond the door, came howls even more tragic than before. Half an hour later, the sounds outside ceased. When returned home, his impeccably tailored dark suit was immaculate, as if he had just returned from having coffee at an upscale coffee shop. Not at all like someone who had just been in a fight. He adjusted the silver-rimmed glasses on his nose, hiding his blood-stained hand behind his back, deliberately avoiding my gaze as he headed towards the bathroom. Excuse me, I need to use the bathroom. I'll help you. I involuntarily grabbed William's hand and walked with him to the bathroom. After diligently cleaning the wound, I fetched the first aid kit and bandaged it. I didn't even notice William looking down at me with a smile. Aren't you scared? I spilled far more blood in fights when I was a kid. I focused on bandaging, not looking up as I continued to tell William about my difficult childhood, from being bullied to fighting back. Just as I was getting into the story, 2 warm tears fell onto my hand. It was the first time I had seen William cry. My heart ached as if pricked by needles. Confused, I tried to wipe away his tears, but he caught my hand and leaned in to kiss me. After the kiss ended, my head was still spinning from lack of oxygen. He pulled me into his arms, holding me so tightly it felt as if he wanted to meld me into his very being. His eyes red. He made a solemn vow. I swear, Grace, I'll never let you suffer another hardship again. Touched, I also felt incredibly happy. Later, I heard that Derek, having no identification, could only receive treatment at a local clinic for over half a year. The day he stopped treatment, Tiffany, who had been missing for over half a year, suddenly handed him his plastic surgery report. Eleanor's 60th birthday gala is in 3 days. The entire social elite of the harbor will be there. Only this plastic surgery report can make Mrs. Sun truly believe that you are Derek. By then, no matter how much your wife tries to argue, it will be useless. As soon as my name was mentioned, Derek spat in disgust. Grace? She's not worthy. My wife can only be you, Tiffany. With that, the two started kissing passionately right there on the street, captured by many passers-by who uploaded the short video clip online. When I scrolled past that video, I only felt disgusted. I didn't take it seriously at all. 3 days later, for Eleanor's 60th birthday gala, William had already arranged for a professional makeup artist and gown stylist. I was dressed to be cultured and dignified, attending Eleanor's birthday banquet. Halfway through the banquet, as Eleanor was preparing to give her toast, Derek stormed in with Tiffany. Compared to his stunt at the wedding, he was far more arrogant this time. Having come fully prepared, as soon as he entered, he slapped that plastic surgery report onto the table. Tiffany, with keen perception, projected a copy onto the projector screen. Derek snatched the microphone from the host and introduced himself. Hello everyone, I am Derek, the son of the host of this birthday banquet, and the sole heir of the Sun family. I know you're all curious why my appearance has changed so dramatically in less than a year. It's because of my wife. Grace seduced my Uncle William during our marriage. After discovering her infidelity, I was so distraught that I had no choice but to devise a fake death and plastic surgery plan and went abroad. My original intention was for Grace to regret my departure terribly. Then I would return, forgive her transgression, and continue our marital relationship. But I never imagined she would shamelessly marry my uncle. She even swindled my mother, transferring all of the Sun family's assets into her name. Such fraudulent behavior is against all reason. I came back today to expose the truth to everyone. I, Derek, am not dead. I merely had plastic surgery to change my appearance. As his voice faded, the banquet hall fell silent. Eleanor slowly walked towards Derek. Her eyes, lined with crow's feet, filled with tears. There was disbelief, incomprehension. More than anything, there was deep hurt. She raised a trembling hand, reaching out to Derek's face. Derek perfectly caught Eleanor's hand and pressed it to his own cheek. Mom, it's really me, Derek. I'm back. No sooner had Derek finished speaking than Eleanor slapped his face with the back of her hand, turning his head. I don't have an ungrateful bastard for a son like you. Mom, don't disown me. The plastic surgery report doesn't lie. Tiffany chimed in, looking at me with a triumphant smirk. If still doesn't believe it, why don't we do a paternity test right here? For everyone's peace of mind? Hearing this, I immediately became wary. A paternity test? How could we just do it so casually? My freshly acquired billions in assets weren't even settled yet. I was anxious and wanted to step forward to stop them. But William stopped me. Don't worry, he said. Even though it was William speaking, my heart couldn't help but pound at the thought of the immense assets. Very well. Then we'll do a paternity test. Eleanor called her private doctor and instructed staff to bring the equipment to the venue. Tiffany's eyes were filled with an insatiable hunger for money and power. Derek, too, was excitedly rubbing his hands together. He, who usually feared needles, was surprisingly eager this time. Only I was so nervous that a thin layer of sweat broke out on my forehead. An hour later, the paternity test results were ready. Tiffany exclaimed excitedly. Quick, project it onto the projector screen. Let everyone see clearly. Exactly. Derek chimed in, full of confidence, looking around. But when the doctor actually projected it, both of them were stunned. Not just Tiffany and Derek. Even I was shocked. The paternity test results showed Derek and Eleanor's genetic similarity was 0%. Derek was not Eleanor's biological son. I apologize for this spectacle, Eleanor said, already walking onto the stage with the microphone, still reeling from the shock. To be frank, Derek is the adopted son my late husband and I brought home from the orphanage 29 years ago. Previously, to protect Derek's reputation, I never made this fact public. But I never imagined that my tolerance and care would only fuel his ambition. I toiled and suffered for nearly 30 years, only to raise such an ungrateful bastard. Eleanor closed her eyes, tears of disappointment falling like a broken string of pearls. Today, with everyone present, I, on behalf of the Sun family, would like to announce 2 pieces of news. First, from today forward, Mr. Derek will have no further ties to my Sun family. I will revoke his surname son, and he is no longer my son. Second, I will adopt Ms. Grace as my daughter. From today forward, Grace will be my biological daughter, the Sun family's sole heiress, and the sole successor to the Sun family. As her words concluded, deafening applause erupted throughout the venue. William, who had been silent all this time, finally instructed his subordinates to escort Derek and Tiffany, who were still reeling, out of the building. Later, I heard that Tiffany forcibly broke up with Derek. Derek also belatedly realized that Tiffany's true intention in approaching him was money. He also learned from other sources that Tiffany's divorce was because her ex-husband discovered her promiscuous behavior, and from Tiffany's ex-husband, Derek also found out that Tiffany had long contracted AIDS. In a fit of emotional collapse, Derek lured Tiffany onto an abandoned cruise ship. He set it on fire, burning Tiffany alive. It was said that Derek had a chance to escape, but for some unknown reason, as soon as he took a step, he found himself secretly chained to the boat. Ultimately, he failed to escape and perished in the flames. When I saw that news, I had just found out I was 1 month pregnant. I had intended to clear out a basement to store my baby's medical reports, documenting every detail from his conception to adulthood. But by chance, in the basement, I discovered a wall covered with my photos. It turned out that 5 years ago, at the new product launch event I had developed and presented, William, who was an invited guest, fell in love with me at first sight. But at that time, Eleanor had already taken a liking to me. Eleanor earnestly urged me to marry Derek. Having lived a life of hardship, I agreed, swayed by the Sun family's inheritance. William, unaware of the truth, thought I liked Derek. Unwilling to force me, he used a few clever tricks to make Derek willingly marry me. He understood Derek's character. He also knew about our family's tradition of a widow remarrying a late husband's brother. He wasn't betting on Derek and me falling in love forever. He was betting that Derek would certainly betray me, so he remained single and unmarried. When he noticed Derek showing signs of infidelity, he immediately orchestrated Tiffany to seduce Derek, using the fake death and plastic surgery plan to go abroad for a honeymoon. All of it was to make me see Derek's true colors and cut my losses in time, to eliminate future problems. William also specifically arranged for someone to deliver that plastic surgery report to Tiffany. I suddenly realized, what they said about William being cunning and ruthless was not just talk. From discovering Derek's infidelity, orchestrating his fake death and plastic surgery, to using the plastic surgery report to prove his identity, and then the paternity test, the entire meticulously crafted scheme was William's doing. Why did you have to be so meticulous? I asked him, full of incomprehension. He merely frowned slightly and explained, if had successfully remained in the Sun family, I would have faced 2 problems. First, losing you. Second, losing you after a long, drawn-out struggle. I couldn't accept either problem. I didn't understand, and didn't ask further. I just added, so, you also knew that Derek would perish in the fire? William looked up, his gaze as abstinent as ever, but at that moment, it was like a paintbrush, slowly tracing my features. The instant William raised his eyebrow and nodded, my heart suddenly trembled. In that moment, my understanding of him deepened even further. Thank you for watching this video. If you have any thoughts about this story, feel free to share them in the comments section. Here is Roses and Love, sharing stories about marriage and women every day. See you tomorrow.